The invitation had been sitting on Daniel's kitchen counter for 11 days. A small white card, written in his sister's loopy handwriting, "Just dinner. 1 hour. You don't have to like her. Just show up." He had moved it from the counter to the refrigerator, then back to the counter, then under a stack of mail, and finally to the junk drawer, where dead batteries and forgotten coupons went to disappear. But somehow, every morning when he made Lily's oatmeal, he knew exactly where it was. Daniel Mercer was 34 years old, and he was tired in a way that sleep couldn't fix. His daughter Lily was 6. She had her mother's nose, her mother's laugh, and her mother's habit of humming while she colored. Claire had been gone for 2 years now. A car accident on a Tuesday morning in November. The kind of ordinary cruelty that doesn't announce itself, doesn't give you time to prepare. One moment, Daniel had a wife who left coffee on his nightstand every morning. The next, he had a daughter who asked why Mommy's coat was still on the hook by the door. He kept the coat. He couldn't explain why. He just couldn't move it. His sister Rachel had been patient, genuinely, generously patient, for 2 years. She had held her tongue through the holidays, through Lily's first school play where Daniel sat in the back row and cried, quietly through the entire thing, through every birthday and anniversary that hit him like a physical weight. But 3 weeks ago, over coffee at his kitchen table, she had slid the little white card across to him and said, "Her name is Sarah. She's kind. Just try." And so on a Friday evening in October, Daniel Mercer put on a clean shirt, dropped Lily at Rachel's, and drove to a restaurant called Harlow's on the east side of town. He almost turned around twice. The restaurant was warm and softly lit, the kind of place, with candles on the tables and a low murmur of conversation that felt like being wrapped in something gentle. A hostess walked him to a corner table, and he sat with his hands folded on the tablecloth, feeling profoundly out of place. Like a man wearing someone else's clothes, he checked his phone. Rachel had sent a photo of Lily in her pajamas, grinning, holding a bowl of popcorn. "She's fine, Danny. Breathe." He was still looking at the photo when he heard the chair across from him pull out. He looked up. Sarah Ellison was not what he had expected, though he realized he hadn't known what he expected. She was perhaps 31 or 32, with warm brown hair pulled loosely back and a quiet, steady way of sitting down that made him think she had been nervous on the drive over, too. She smiled, not a dazzling performative smile, but something small and real, and said, "You must be Daniel." "I'm Sarah. I'm going to be honest with you. I almost stopped at a drive-through on the way here, and just sent your sister an apology text." He laughed before he could stop himself. "I turned around twice on Oak Street. I circled the block." Something loosened slightly in his chest. They ordered water. They looked at menus they weren't really reading. There was the careful, polite small talk that happens when two people are both trying to seem less broken than they are. She worked as a music therapist at a children's hospital, had moved to the city from Portland 2 years ago, liked bad documentaries and good coffee. He told her about his architecture firm, about Lily starting first grade, about the way the house felt both too full and too empty at the same time, and was surprised to hear himself say that last part out loud. She didn't flinch from it. She just nodded like it made sense, like she understood what it was to carry something invisible. The food came. They ate. The conversation moved slowly and honestly, the way it does when two careful people decide, quietly and without announcement, to stop performing. Then Sarah paused, set down her fork, and looked at him with a slight crease between her brows. Not concern exactly, but something more careful than curiosity. "Can I ask you something? And please tell me if it's too much." "Okay," he said. "Your daughter's name is Lily?" "Yes." "How old is she?" 6. She'll be 7 in March. Sarah was quiet for a moment. Her hands were still on the table. She looked like someone doing arithmetic in their head, checking a number twice before saying it out loud. "Does she—" Sarah stopped, started again. "Does she love a song called Daisy Bell?" "The old one." "Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer, do." The world stopped. Daniel put his glass down very slowly, the way you put something down when your hands have stopped being reliable. "Where did you hear that?" he said. His voice was not quite steady. Sarah reached into her bag. She set a small composition notebook on the table. the kind children use for school. Black and white marbled cover, soft from handling. She slid it toward him without opening it. "I work at St. Catherine's Children's Hospital," she said quietly. "Music therapy, pediatric ward. About 3 years ago I had a patient, a woman, early 30s. She was there for 6 weeks. Severe injuries from a car accident." Sarah's voice was even, but her eyes were not. "She wasn't always conscious, but on the days she was, we'd do sessions together. She would talk about her daughter constantly, 6 months old at the time. She called her Lilybug." Sarah paused. "She said when Lily cried at night, the only thing that settled her was Daisy Bell. She'd sing it on repeat. She said Lily would just stop, listen, like she recognized it as something safe." Daniel could not speak. Something was happening in his chest that was too large for the room. "She used to write things down," Sarah continued, nodding at the notebook. "Between sessions, notes to her daughter. She gave it to me near the end. She said—" Sarah's voice broke for just a moment, then steadied. "She said she didn't know if she'd be able to give it to Lily herself. She asked me to hold on to it. She said someday someone would find their way to it." The restaurant kept going around them. Glasses clinked. Someone laughed 3 tables over. The candle between them burned in a thin, steady line. Daniel opened the notebook. The handwriting was Claire's. He would have known it anywhere. The slightly left-leaning letters, the way she looped her Y's, the small star she drew at the end of important sentences. He had read that handwriting on birthday cards, on grocery lists, on sticky notes left on his pillow. He had not seen it in 2 years. "Lilybug," the first page began. "If you're reading this, then I didn't get to be there. And I want you to know that is the only thing in the world that could ever make me sad. Because you are the greatest thing I ever did." He read slowly. His breath came in pieces. Page after page. Claire writing to their daughter about small things and enormous things. About the way Lily's fingers curled when she slept. About the color she wanted to paint her room when she was old enough to choose. About the kind of person Claire hoped she would become. There were drawings, badly drawn suns and stick figures and a lopsided heart with "Mom plus Lily" written inside in Claire's handwriting, like something she had done just to make herself laugh. And at the bottom of the last page, in handwriting that looked slightly shakier than the rest, as though written with less time or less strength. "And if your daddy is reading this too, Danny, I hope you didn't wait too long. I hope you let someone good find you. You were always terrible at letting people help you. Let someone help." Daniel closed the notebook. He pressed both hands flat on the cover and breathed in and out. In the way you breathe, when you are holding yourself together, through willpower alone. When he finally looked up, Sarah was watching him with tears running freely down her face, making no effort to hide them. "She talked about you," Sarah said softly. "Every session. She said you made her feel like the most important person in every room." He nodded. He couldn't form words yet. "I didn't know how to find you," Sarah said. "I didn't have a last name. I didn't know where you lived. And then your sister called the hospital for a therapy referral for a friend, a single dad, one daughter named Lily, and they passed it to my department, and she mentioned your name, and I stood in the hallway for 5 minutes because I didn't know if I was imagining it." She wiped her face with the back of her hand. "I told Rachel. She's the one who arranged tonight." Daniel thought about Rachel, who had been patient for 2 years, who had said just try, who had known exactly what she was doing when she wrote that little white card. "She knew," he said, not quite a question. "She knew." He sat with that for a moment. Then something in him, some last tightly held door, swung open. "Before I tell you how this ends, if this story is touching something in you, if you've ever carried someone's memory through years, you didn't know how to survive, please stay with me until the very last word. And if this channel has ever given you something to feel, please subscribe. There are more stories like this one waiting for you." 3 months later, on a Saturday morning in January, Lily Mercer sat at the kitchen table in her pajamas eating oatmeal, and Sarah sat across from her with a cup of coffee, teaching her the second verse of Daisy Bell, the verse Claire had never gotten to teach her. Lily sang it with total seriousness, her small brow furrowed with concentration, her spoon suspended in mid-air. Daniel stood in the kitchen doorway and did not announce himself. He just stood there with his shoulder against the frame, watching his daughter learn a song from a woman who had held his wife's last words for 2 years and carried them safely across time and silence and the strange mathematics of grief to exactly the right place. On the refrigerator behind them, held up by a strawberry magnet, was the first page of Claire's notebook. Just that one page. "You are the greatest thing I ever did." Lily finished the song. Sarah clapped. Lily bowed with enormous dignity. Daniel walked into the kitchen. He did not say anything profound. He just put his hand briefly on Sarah's shoulder as he passed. The simplest possible language for thank you and, "I see you and we are going to be okay," all at once. Sarah looked up at him and smiled. Outside, the January light came through the kitchen window the way it always did in the mornings. Ordinary and unhurried and, somehow, still full of the quiet mercy of second chances.